try to explain what the service is that I'm demanding that I am looking for first of all before anything else. I'm going to put this video okay. So this video here I'm going to cut, and I'm going to put this video, and from the moment I put this one and you see everything that is done in the video, I'll continue. Okay, this video is to explain my business project based on using robotic strollers. Okay, here we have two models of robotic strollers, one from the company Zfunder and another from the company Freenove. And well, after studying them in principle, I like the one from Frob better, but well, each one has its own interest, let's say no. And well, this was to show a little what I'm doing. Okay, I have hired a domain. Okay, of course, for the moment this is still a test, but in principle, I'm going to click here on one of the cars in its funder. And we are accessing a website that is inside the car itself, that emits video and audio from the car. Okay, and if I go back to the same web page again, I'm going to try to access the other one as well. Car, I access the first one, and it shows us at first image, and it also shows us sound. Okay, right now I don't have the sound set very high at the moment, that I put it a little high. It starts to couple there, you hear the echo. Okay, and well, then in principle we have the remote control of each of the two cars simultaneously from a web. Okay, then I can give it to move forward, backward, to stop. Okay, we see it now from the camera, forward, backward, to stop. Then later we can turn to the left, forward, turning left, to the right, backward, to stop. Okay, the same from logically we can see it from the camera. Okay, more things. Okay, well, logically left, right, like it's logical, not the wheels of this Sunfunder car, for each time you give it they turn 10 gr. Okay, 10 gr. At first I put 5, but I have seen that with 10 it is better. Okay, in the assembly there has been a small defect for which it had been off center 11 gr, but I have solved it by software in such a way that those 11 gr have been corrected. Let's say this would be the central position, and then we have put it, I have put a mode. Okay, which is by pressing the F8 key. Okay, press F8 and I get a message there that says you have activated the step-by-step mode, short steps, very fast. Okay, then I accept. Well, the truth is that in this car, the short steps are short, but they're just as fast from what I'm seeing. But well, it is true that in this one, in this case, when it turns directly 30 gr. Okay, the wheel, I have put it like that because to go handling it has been more comfortable for me than it does a turn of Okay, it is. More it handles better when it comes to moving it through places where everything is full of obstacles. If it does not stop moving, it crashes everywhere, and in this way it does not crash anymore, it does not crash as much. And it is more comfortable for me to do the turns of 30 gr. Okay, I would like to comment that it turns out that each one of the Raspberry uses a software to emit video and sound that uses a lot of communications ports, and those communications ports I am not capable in principle to configure it in such a way that I know which ones are going to be used. Okay, that gives me some problems when it comes to making them both work at the same time. So to make them work at the same time, I have made let's call it a fix, okay, which is to use another internet connection. In this case that of my parents, and I have had to use a computer, an old computer. I have put an Ubuntu on it, okay. And well, with that system, with that Ubuntu using IP table, then what I do is that in short I use through a VPN, and what would be the internet connection, so that it doesn't give me a conflict. Let's say, okay, so this I am using here the two internet connections simultaneously, okay. In one internet connection I use for one of the cars specifically, the S-funder goes through the one of mine, okay, the one I have here, and the FreeNode goes through the internet connection of my parents, that is, the FreeNode goes through a VPN, but let's not notice it at all, it's a VPN WW, and the truth is that it doesn't give me any type of problem. Okay, well, let's start to see the subject of the fluff that we have not even started to move. The fluff has some curious characteristics because the wheels do not turn, okay, not a little or a lot, they do not turn at all. Then the turn is done because it has four-wheel drive, and what it does is that it moves the right wheel faster than the left, or the does is that it moves the right wheel faster than the left, or the left wheels faster than the right, and that allows you to make a turn, okay. If I give it forward, it moves forward. If I give it backward, it moves backward, it stops. Okay, if I want it to turn, for example, to go forward but go a little to the right, it goes a little to the right and then a little backward. Okay, well, it also has the F8 thing, okay. I go to F8, I get the message here on the screen, and well, it turns out that here in the F, then to do this here I do have it set that the movements are fast, and also when I give it to turn, okay, well, like this it turns, okay. If we see it from the screen, then we would have this appearance. We can also put it in full screen D. F11. Okay, well, what can all this be used for? Okay, well, I originally thought of using it for remote tourism. I know it's a bit of a crazy idea, a bit difficult, but I had actually thought of an army of little cars where you would have a tour guide who would show you things and so on, and from different parts of the world, and you could go sightseeing anywhere without having to travel, but with the possibility of moving around the places. Okay, it's true that for that you would have to make another type of robot that would be taller, surely. Maybe it would have the option of touching things. Okay, so let's say that was the original idea, but for the moment that idea has been put on hold and well, right now the idea is to have competitions, okay, competitions between the little cars, okay, races, different races with obstacles, without obstacles, anyway. Well, that's a bit of the idea. Right now, as I mentioned, I don't have a system to be able to use many little cars with a single internet connection, but I'm working on it. In principle, I'm working on configuring a JANUS server, which would be what would allow me to do such a thing, but at the moment I don't have it figured out, and I have done a well then I also want to comment on the fact that let's get out of here. I have an UNNC connection with my cars. It's something very important. Because at a given moment I can change something without having to be physically connecting it to a cable. Okay, very comfortable, very useful. It's true that when they are transmitting, they go slower, but it's logical because it's consuming CPU. Okay, but well above all the Raspberry Pi 3, logically it goes a little worse than the Raspberry Pi 4, but it also defends itself. Okay, you see that I have one configured with more resolution than the other, but well that's circumstantial, and well right now my web server is a virtual Ubuntu machine that we have here. This is my Q3 web server, okay. And where it says Ubuntu local router, well, this is nothing more or less than a computer connected to my parents' house that is forwarding their internet so that I can use it, because that way I don't have port conflicts, okay, because I use both internet connections, so this would be Ubuntu 24, although here the image that is seen of a 0.22 because before it was Ubuntu 22. But here what I have set is 1.24. Let's see, I don't know if it's, let's see if it's okay, let's see if it's misconfigured. 1 second, let's see. No, this is not configured correctly. 1 second. Okay, this is the IP of my parents' house, which by the way is from Yell. Here I have Digi. Let's see if I can configure it. Correctly. Continue user. Okay, just a moment, I know that I have a really big dick. It's not that really, that's not the remote control program that I'm using. I'm using one that worked better for me. Okay, it's called No Machine, the remote control program. Now yes, okay, we have Ubuntu 24 here. This Ubuntu 24 is the one that I'm using right now for, well, it's a very basic computer. You know, a quad-core with a small hard drive, that's the SCCD hard drive. And well, in principle I had mounted it with 1.22 with a mechanical hard drive. But well, I updated it to a solid hard drive and I put a 24 in it. That no is that it goes better even I think it goes a little slower, but what happens is that as it is supposed to have more support time and so on, well I say come on now that I put a new hard drive I am going to put a more modern one, but it does not have, well this has its technique, like it is logical okay to make that at a given moment I can use a VPN and that in short I can emit from the Raspberry and that it goes out through the web and that it appears, well in short that has its history, you know it has its history. And I would like to comment on the fact that really here we are seeing from left to right 19-20 lines okay. And from top to bottom there are really 14-40, but there is a part that is not seen. I have set it to adjust to the width of the screen that makes me lose a little image at the top and bottom, but it is also true that at the top a little sign appears saying something like if you are using a chat ware software or something like that okay, but it is that I am trying to get in touch with the creator of the program and I cannot get him to give me access to the good version or so, but well anyway doing it this way it is not seen, so it is not that important, and also if I do it another way part of the screen is also wasted, so well I am about to leave it like this and that's it, the truth. Okay, well that's it, this is a little bit my idea at the moment. I only have 2 cars working okay, I have 4 bought, but the other 2, one is broken and I have to repair it, also it has programming problems because it is another more complicated model. These 2 cars have Python applications okay, they receive the orders that I send them. I send AJ through JavaScript and instead of those functions, well I make them work. I am forgetting something very important. Let's see, a very important subject to comment that I have forgotten okay. In the case of Freen we are going to see, let's see, I have implemented a function that is with the F9 key. It does not have that, the sewer does not have it. Maybe I will put it, we will see it is to avoid obstacles okay. Avoid obstacles, basically it is that I give it an order to go forward, but if I find an object it should automatically avoid that obstacle okay. I have to say that it doesn't always work, but that is to say that it sometimes fails, but well let's see if it is capable of realizing it. There it is, very well forgotten. To comment on a couple of things. Well, the first thing to say is that the domain that I have contracted is this one here, which is competing fruit. Well okay, I had forgotten to comment on it before, and then I wanted to comment that the little cars, well they can move their heads. I think that is something that I have forgotten to say. Let's see a moment. It is coupling. I have forgotten to comment on it, but well let's see, here we are seeing the funder. I move it to the left. Okay, it moves its head, it moves the Left camera, specifically this one, it moves 81 GR. Look, there it is seeing its little brother. It is seeing the other little car next to it, up to 81 GR on the left, 81 GR on the right. It is not bad. I have it programmed in this case to advance from degree to degree. Yes, it is true that I have set a small delay in what is the emission of the JSON so that it does not saturate. Let's say OK, although I leave the key pressed, but it does not emit it a no more of 4 per second. Well, that's just to say that it could turn OK. It has a center key that would be this one. And although it moves slowly to one side or the other when we press the center key, it centers quickly. OK, we press up. The same center key. It also works for this, to go down, in this case. Down, and well, something that may seem very logical, very obvious, but the 9, the 7, the 3, and the 1 are combinations. For example, the C is a combination of up and to the right, that is, the new is a combination of the U and the shay, that is, up and to the right. OK, so for example, if I keep giving it, what it does is up, right, right, up, right, up, right, right, Daria, up, right, right, and so on. No. Or so, the 7 is a combination of up, left, 1, left, down. And the 3 is down, and the 5. Anyway, well, that's it. OK. And well, with respect to the other little car, well, in principle, it works the same, that is, no. As far as I remember, there is no difference in that regard. It is true that it only has 2 servo motors, because not it needs a servo motor to turn the wheels left to right, but what would be the issue of the head that carries the camera? Well, it works the same. OK, here we are seeing already AOVE, that is the other car. We are going to move its head to the right. I am going to center it. Left. Up. Before I have commented that I like the free no model more than the Sun Funder model, but no, I have not dedicated myself to explaining why right now they do not have a battery. OK, but I wanted to comment that the FROB incorporates, instead of a single switch, 2 switches, one of them that allows you to give power to the entire set and another that disconnects the part that is not from the Raspberry in such a way that if we want to feed only the Raspberry and use less battery, then we can use it so from there. We have a first advantage. Another second advantage A is the issue that it incorporates 4 LEDs to measure what the battery would be in such a way that when the 4 LEDs are on, it would be perfect. With 3 LEDs it would work also well, and since it only has 2 LEDs it would be a good time to change the battery, while in this one, well, you have to notice that the behavior starts to fail when it starts to fail. Then you change it. No, it works better logically, the LED system, okay. Then after that it has a series of additional outputs for the servo motor issue, okay, in such a way that if one breaks down then you can use more. In fact, it has happened to me too. It is true that with this one no output has broken down. But well, and then after that it has another very important additional advantage, which is the assembly issue. It is much simpler, it has much fewer screws. This piece of the motherboard, well, it incorporates at the same time the batteries, or in other words, the battery holder I meant, and several pieces, or in other words, like 3 pieces or things like that or more. They are all unified here, okay. It is indescribable the difference in work to assemble one model to assemble another, including the issue of the size of the screws. You know the issue of the screws, and including the issue of the size of the screws. You know the issue of the screws, and then the issue of other advantage, the issue of the direction, the fact that it uses 4 motors, okay. Well, that gives a lot of, or in other words, a lot of problems, a lot of advantages with regarding having this traditional system, okay, because this is put with plastic, okay. So these plastics, if you assemble it wrong, and it is very difficult to reassemble it, that is, disassemble it and reassemble it, okay. It can happen to you, for example, if you do not screw the servo motor well, it may be crooked, okay. In fact, it has happened to me. I have had to solve it with software. Anyway, it has quite a few drawbacks. Apart from the fact that it cannot make the quick turns that this one does, okay, it does so suddenly. Bridge, okay. In total, it has a series of advantages. The fact that it has 4-wheel drive, and instead of having that servo motor, it actually has one less servo motor. But it has the same functionality because it only has 2 servo motors instead of 3, okay. It seems to me a very interesting model, and last but not least is that it is much cheaper, that is, but on the order of almost half or something like that, that is, continuous, okay. That's the first thing, okay. Once we have seen the video, the issue is the following. I am setting up a business where we would be doing competitions of small cars, okay, small cars controlled by a Raspberry. Then what you have to understand is that the Raspberry has, or is, going to transmit on one hand a video stream, and it will also transmit an audio stream with a USB microphone, and in addition to that, it is about being able to control the cars, okay. Then with respect to the issue of controlling the cars, as you have seen in the video, I really am able to control the cars, and in fact I have found a solution to be able to do a competition with 2 cars in the same home, and obviously if I have achieved it with 2, I can also achieve it with more than 2. The idea is to reach a competition that reaches 10 cars. That is the idea, really. So what happens that in principle well, I have 2 Raspberries connected right now. A both to the Raspberry and to AA. Virtual machine which is a PCI have a remote control system installed. OK. In the case of the Raspberry you can control it remotely by means of UNC. Here we have a Raspberry. OK and A. Let's connect the second Raspberry. Here we have two Raspberries. OK, we have two Raspberries and we also have a VMware virtual machine with an Ubuntu 24 and A. We have installed a software called JANUS Gateway. The subject is the following within what would be the Raspberry. In principle, we have what would be UV4L software that allows you to mount a web server, a SUD web server, a web server that would serve both video streaming and audio streaming. OK, if I put here host name less we have one. It is on the IP 142. OK, here we have another RER. This I think it is. $129. There is even a third Raspberry that is not here. Let's see if I can connect it. Let's see. I'm going to put here RRY 3 and we're going to put no wait here. It was not 192 168.1 pun 132 maybe. Let's see. Let's try with PIM. It could be. Currently the desktop cannot be displayed. Oops, it seems there is a problem. It seems there is a problem connecting. Let's see. OK, here it is working. The remote control is not working. I don't know why, but we are accessing a web. What would be the third Raspberry? OK, the third Raspberry. It has a web with a play button. If press it, OK, I can see it. And also let's see. I'm going to increase the volume a little. Oh no, the volume is already at full. Hello, hello, hello. Hello. OK, normally the audio works. I'm going to put a full screen. This is basically the quality that I'm expecting for each Window. What I'm not very clear about is why it's not sounding sounds. Let's see. I'm going to try to restart to laugh for a moment. Let's see if many times it helps me to connect. Monitor, because with the battery when it works there is no problem, but when it works with a charger it turns out that it works better with a connected screen. I don't know very well why. I many times connect the screen and I configure the monitor to choose the HDMI output, and what I do is that just when I give it power I select the input. Okay, it is restarting. The third Raspberry is restarting. Right now on the screen I am seeing exactly that third Raspberry. Let's try it again now that it is restarted. Okay, I'm going to reload the page. Okay, and I'll hit play again. The sound is a feedback. It is a feedback. Okay, it's positive feedback. That has sounded a beep. I'm recording this in Spanish. When has it been translated into English? Possibly not. The beep does not sound, but now the audio has worked before. The audio had not worked. Okay, and also now surely a let's see that yes we can access that Raspberry. Here we have the third Raspberry. Okay, this third Raspberry serves as a reference. Okay, what makes this Raspberry able to emit? This Raspberry emits thanks to a software called UV4L. Okay, let's see it. Sudo, and we see here if we put C4 etc. UV4L. Okay, this is the software that allows a that I know that it is imitated. You see, well, if I expand this, we can even enlarge the letter. I have it configured so that by pressing the plus key the letter size increases. Here comes the configuration of the UV4L software that, as we have seen, can emit a streaming of video and audio. If we look here where it says server options, okay, it is on. Yes, here is the folder where I have the web page, and the web page is being served through port 80, and all this is working without problem. So if I configure my router to point to the local IP of this Raspberry A, this image and this sound can be seen on the internet. Okay, this can be seen on the internet simply A pointing to my IP or to enjoy competing Puna. That right now. Right now we see this page, but because in the router the DMZ points to the IP of the VMware virtual machine. Let's see, I'm suffering a CLI. I'm going to download it. Then of course what is happening that here I have an Apache server. Okay, that Apache server, I have it with a reverse pros, and I have put the modules for reverse pros and for WebSocket, and I have here a web page that supposedly tries to connect to a JANUS Gateway server. So the question is, why do I need a server? Why is all this necessary? What I intend is to do a simultaneous broadcast of 2 Raspberries. Okay. Yes, I have simply, if I point 1, the DMZ to the IP of a single Raspberry, well obviously I can't broadcast with 2 Raspberry. I would only broadcast with 1 true. But of course the issue is, how can I broadcast with both if UV4L had an option to configure the ports through which the video and audio are broadcast, there would be no problem at all. There are 65,536 ports. We could distribute the ports for different broadcasts. The problem is that although it is true that we can see that here there is a port through which the web page is served, which is 80, but really what is? The video and audio do not go through 80, but rather they go through a series of ports that use TCP and UDP traffic, and also they are not ports that are predictable. There is no way that I know of to configure V4L to make it work only on a certain port. The only thing we can really do in theory is connected to a software that is a JANUS. Okay, a software that supposedly is going to in charge of managing the ports issue. The idea would be, or in other words, JANUS, it seems that it handles a virtual concept called room. Okay, in English, that well the issue is that once the rooms are created from Hanway version 4L, it would have to join that to those rooms in principle. And supposedly JANUS should solve the problem of the ports. Okay, the principle to me, it does not matter if it is done in one way or another, or in other words, it does not matter to me if one software or another is used. It does not matter if JANUS is used or if JANUS is not used. I would not even mind if version 4L was not used, but what I do want is to maintain the quality of the image fluidity and the latency, which are fundamental points for me, and that in the case of version 4L for me are quite good. The video D here we are seeing, for example, how some small deformations are formed. I mean that perfect is not agreed, it has its imperfections. If I could get something with even more quality, it would be even better, but let's say that this quality I am happy with it. You see that some deformations are formed and then they are removed. Okay, but for now I am satisfied with this, which is the best I have been able to get for now. The V4L software is the best I have been able to get to broadcast from the Raspberry. If we Go to A. The to the. To these machines to the. VNC OKA we can. C. CD bar. Etc. bar. UV4L. Nano. OK, we are going to put it here. We are going to expand it a little bit and we are going to see how in the configuration file. A here we have. Set well there licensed OK it is. Licensed each machine has its own V4L license that has not been easy to license them. The truth is that it has been quite complicated, but they are licensed at least that is resolved. Here we see how the JANUS options are activated. OK, everything is ready to connect to JANU. When I try to connect OK, A it fails. OK it fails. I go and I open. Here we have the folder where JANUS is and I run JANUS. Apparently it is working OK. I press. Here we are going to leave it like this so that you can see both things at the same time. And I press play. And OK, there is a transport error, but sometimes it doesn't give this, sometimes it doesn't give this error. Let's try. Now we see, for example, that it's not giving the transport error. It doesn't give the transport error, but if I press F12 here, well, this would be the hole in the video, and here nothing is being seen. I don't know what's happening. I can't find the error. I've tried to look at the error log files of JANUS and version 4L, and they're not generating errors, so I really don't know what to do. OK, I don't know what to do. It's just I'm looking for someone to help me to connect the programs, and as I said, I wouldn't mind if there was an alternative solution to JANUS. I wouldn't even mind if there was an alternative solution to V4L. Version 4L also has many drawbacks. It needs an old operating system, which is old, is more insecure, and well, it has also given me quite a few problems to register it. In short, it is a relatively problematic software. What happens is that I haven't found another one that gives me less latency. That is to say, that gives me the same conditions. Really? OK, I'm going to run JANUS again. I press play again. In room 1, and we see that I don't know that the transport error does not appear. If you leave it for a long time, it ends up showing a transport error, but well, in principle, no, at the moment it does not appear, and the fact is that the image is not seen, so I do not know what is happening. In the documentation that I deliver logically all the configuration, the configuration of the reverse PR, the configuration of the JANU configuration files A. The configuration, or in other words, everything that is the content of this website that is here placed with its JavaScript and others, or in other words, everything is logically available and apart from the remote control of the three Raspberries, one that is acts as a control and the other two that are actually the Raspberries with which you would have to work, and that is basically the subject I wanted to say. That in the video that you saw before I have solved the problem by using 2 internet connections instead of a single connection. Okay, then at the moment in which I use 2 internet connections, if those 2 internet connections are in the same address A, well obviously it means that I have to pay for both internet connections, and that if there are 10 cars it would be 10 internet connections A in Spain. Not all companies allow A to put more than 1 simultaneous internet connection. In principle, as far as I know, it is guaranteed. Only Movistar guarantees it to me. Okay, so A using more than 1 internet connection, we would have 2 options. One would be that all the internet connections are at the same address, and another option would be that some internet connections, that is, 1 internet connection is at my home and the rest are at other addresses. Of course, if it is at other addresses, it has an advantage, and that is that I can go to the cheapest internet provider, and at a given moment, even someone who is using the internet for something else, I can request or ask them to let me put a VPN server at their home, and in that case I would be paying for part or all of their internet connection, which could be the server plus the cheapest operator, let's say. No, but that doesn't convince me. It doesn't convince me, first because I would have to be counting on the collaboration of 9 collaborators for 10 cars. Okay, because it would be using my own newest internet, 9 additional internets, and well, any problem with any of those 9 would be problematic, and it doesn't convince me either, because I wouldn't have direct access to the VPN servers in the video that I showed previously. One of the images of the cars was going through a VPN server that was at my parents' house. Okay, but I already said that that solution doesn't really convince me. Then what it's about here is trying to make it possible to use everything with a single server, or in other words, a single internet connection is worth a single internet connection, and that manages the problem of the communication ports. That the problem that there is basically is that by not being able to control, let's say by not being able to configure the communication ports that use version 4L, well, there is no way to distribute the ports. There is no way to configure the router to tell it these ports send it to me to this Raspberry, and these other ports send it to me to this other one, and make the software adapt to that circumstance. I have even tried to make port restrictions on the Raspberry through firewall but the version 4L doesn't adapt. Simply stops working if you cut the ports it wants to use. Okay, then that's the thing really. Using a single internet connection instead of several and going through a JANUS server to which we would supposedly be connecting with this website that has JavaScript, but that doesn't work. Okay, then I'm going to cut the video now.